Hello and welcome back. I am Allen Werner, author of the epic fantasy series, The Crystal Crux. As you can see, I have changed my basement around so things are a little different in the background. You can also hear the furnace. It is now winter here, so it's going to kick in once in a while. Sorry about that. We are reading from the book Betrayal, the first book in the series. We are going to continue on here. We have finished our flashback. We found out that the three sons of Melior and Tancred Fabro have assassinated them. And so now we begin our adventure with day one. Um, the powerful Fabro family are meeting with a church official in Parthenope in a cello deep beneath Castle del Ovo. They're there to plan to unseat Pero de Lava from his position at Capua. Historically, the church always had problems with the Holy Roman Empire, and they were because the seat of the empire was actually in Germany, and so they were opposed to any officials that the emperor usually appointed. And Pero was just one of the pawns, and he had been appointed to Capua, and so now they are about to unseat him. So we are starting from chapter 4, Derogated, a little bit further down in the chapter. Rugerius, Herardus barked. Encased in chainmail, Herardus's eldest son Rugerius, the Castellan of Parthenope, clambered noisily to the foot of the throne, his long, confident stride severe and impressive. When he arrived, he did not bow. "Are you prepared?" Herardus asked, already knowing the answer. Rugerius was shaggy. His hair was black and long, bushy and wild. His face was covered by an unmanaged beard. The beard was a recent growth and intentional. It concealed a wound, a broken jaw he had recently incurred. After years of campaigning from Normandy to Palestine, without hardly a scratch, Rugerius was at a banquet when a punch to the face scarred him for life, his speech slurred. Without utterance, a shorter but equally severe knight, without a beard, stepped up and assumed a subordinate position beside Rugerius. "Burgess and I," Rugerius said, slurring his words, "have mustered the men as ordered. Preparations are complete. Capua will burn." Herardus froze for a moment, as his unforgiving memory tried to recall a day when his eldest was young or pleasant. The day and time did not exist, not since infancy. Rugerius was always been quarrelsome and defiant. "Then on your way, my son," Herardus directed softly. Ringing and rattling, scaring the hell out of the lizards in their path, Rugerius and Burgess marched down the aisle, vacating the room through the double doors Herardus had entered by. It appeared to be the only way in and out of the cellar. Bishop Anselm returned his attention back to the throne. "Pero's punishment for heretical practice will be severe, an example and warning to those inclined to support Philip." "See," Herardus answered, "Pero's punishment will be severe." "Bravo!" the bishop chirped as he rewarded Herardus with a shallow, disrespectful bow. "My work here is complete. I will report my findings to Rome at once. May the good Lord in heaven keep you safe and exalt you beyond measure." Before all the words of the insipid blessing dripped from his lying mouth, Anselm glanced up at Talento. He gave him a casual nod, gesturing him to follow. Talento nodded back and emerged from darkness. He stood beside the bishop and disrespected his father with his own feeble bow. "It is a labyrinth beyond those doors, and the causeways can be thorny to pilot for those unfamiliar with them. I will see the bishop safely to the surface and his transport." Herardus waved this son away also. Distraught and disenchanted with life in general, Herardus turned aside, unable to watch Talento as he flitted his way out of the cella with the underhanded bishop. Great anguish filled the old man's heart when he considered the state of the only two children he bore in wedlock. They were heirs to the throne, but neither possessed the virtues and characteristics necessary to rule well one day. But what other choice did Herardus have? What other choice did the kingdom have? Believing the cella empty and expecting no other ear to hear his confession but God, Herardus sighed aloud, "What an awful father I have been." Awful does not do you justice, my lord. Herardus searched the darkness, unmoved or surprised that he was not alone. A large cloaked figure of a man materialized from an obscure recess far across the room. He was a giant with broad shoulders, his head nearly touching the ceiling. The gold hem of his black cloak dusted the floor as he silently advanced on the throne. You were quiet, Sinibaldus. Nothing to add? Sinibaldus lowered the hood of the cape. His head was small, hairless, and incurably white. Folds of thin, dark skin accented his powder blue eyes. He looked sick to death. My lord, you know I never speak in the presence of Catholics. They do not approve of my dark arts. They only need proof of my whereabouts to dispatch a regiment of armed soldiers to this locale and coerce you into surrendering me. I have no desire to be impaled by aspirant priests. Herardus laughed. Oh, good man, I rule Parthenope, and no church official is going to come in here and tell me otherwise. Sinibaldus replied, Indeed, good man, I think you fear Rome more than you esteem me. I have just witnessed your latest capitulation. I believe it is wise at this time to question your loyalty. How dare you, Herardus shouted. Who do you think you are to question my devotion? Sinibaldus was the most amiable creature in Herardus's court. He did not hesitate to step back and lower his towering stature, an exaggerated display of humility, with his head almost touching the floor. Forgive me. Your affections are apparent and appreciated. I thank you for your mercy. Herardus breathed a premature sigh of relief. From his prostrated position, Sinibaldus added, Perhaps I will learn more about this benevolence of yours from Sir Pero. His mutilated carcass should speak wonders. Herardus knew he could not afford to debate with this unusual and important man. The deceptions of the day, not to mention the deceits littering the long roads of yore, complicated everything. Herardus ordered the giant to stand at ease without any further chastisement. Much is at stake, Herardus reminded Sinibaldus. I'm putting a great deal of faith in you. You must be sure. If Pero outwits you and somehow escapes Eagle's Pass, there will be hell to pay. No one escapes from Eagle's Pass. Pero de Alaba shall die. The giant used both hands to jerk open the V-neck collar on his robe. The dramatic move revealed a large translucent crystal, the size of a large man's fist, dangling from a hemp cord over his heart like a glimmering talisman. The power of Bellerophon is still with me. Unimpressed, Herardus rose sluggish from the throne, the burden of his blessed age coursing painfully through his legs. Moaning and reluctant to walk, Herardus kissed his gold ring before placing that same hand on Sinibaldus' tall shoulder. Behold that awful fig which has withered on the vine, the swine undulating back and forth in the sludge. I have no strength or conviction to offer anyone. He stared Sinibaldus straight in the eye and did not blink. You are correct, my friend. I would betray you. Herardus staggered despondently down the aisle towards the same wooden pillars he had brushed aside a sin ago, once nearly tripping over a hurried little lizard that scurried across his path. As he breached the threshold between the cella and the hall, he muttered in amusement, And to think, I admire Pero more than any other bastard in my court. Awful surely does not do me justice. So there we go. Um, we find out Herardus has two adult sons, Talento and Rugerius. Um, Talento is the sneaky one behind the throne, and Rugerius is the violent, physical one who is about to lead his men against Capua to destroy the keep there. But we also find out that there is another character involved. We find out that Sinibaldus, this giant magician with a crystal, a Bellerophon, is also going to be doing something involving Pero. We're not quite sure yet what that means, but it looks like something's going to be happening there that Herardus has to trust him. But trust is pretty hard to come by in this place. As you can see, Herardus doesn't trust his sons. He doesn't really trust Sinibaldus. He doesn't trust anyone, and doesn't look like Sinibaldus trusts anyone. Uh, Everybody is always wary about what everybody else is thinking and planning behind their back. So um, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Pick up a copy of the book, any of the 5 books. But if you want to read along with this one, make sure you pick up this one. This is the second edition of Betrayal. Until next time, stay inspired and keep reading. Goodbye.